This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS preview show. We are here for an 11-game Monday main slate, kicking off week 2 of the NBA season. James, my friend, how are we doing?
Doing well. Week 1 was a good one. Week 2 is going to be a better one. Kicking off the week with an 11-game slate. Should be fun. A lot of teams on a back-to-back as well. So we got our first taste of back-to-backs and how teams would handle them this weekend. Some teams rested their players. Other teams like Philadelphia. Nick Nurse doesn't rest people. He just plays them 40 minutes a night. So definitely an interesting slate because these teams on back-to-backs are teams that we've seen rest guys, and they are some, veteran squads like Milwaukee and Golden State and Denver, LA. So it's definitely going to be an interesting slate right now. Nobody that we know of high note is out, but that could all change as soon as we release this podcast and the morning comes around.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we went into the Sunday slate and Steph Curry was considered questionable to play, did play. Seems like there's a chance that he would end up sitting the second leg of that back-to-back here after playing the first. Yep. Again, no official word there. Great to see the Miami Heat just pick up right where they left off. Already just half their roster resting on, I think it was Saturday there. So, yes, it is the NBA. We know this going into it. It's one of the reasons why, more than any other sport, it is important to be around for roster lock. I know a number of people in the Discord, we were chatting up, and they're like, oh, I didn't know this person was starting. Oh, I wish I was around to get this news. If you're not around for that news, you're going to find yourself behind the 8 ball a lot of times here with NBA DFS. So if you're new to NBA DFS, we're not saying, you have to go ahead and be glued to your computer, but turn push notifications on, set an alarm, 6:50, just to check the lineups tab that we have in our premium Discord. We put that in there specifically for those of you who don't know where to or don't have time to go and find all the news. Go to the NBA DFS lineups tab, and any news that comes out of the lineup, starting lineups, ruled in, ruled out, it's all in there for you guys to just quickly go through and find out. So, again, that's for your benefit. So, again, some of you guys are new to NBA DFS. It's only been a couple of days into the season, but it really doesn't get any easier from this point forward here. So, it does take a little bit of a commitment to be there and to, be available for when that news breaks. Going into roster lock of an NBA DFS slate. Before we jump into the 11-game slate here, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at RT Sports. If you go to rtsports.com/alarm, use promo code alarm23, new users will get a 100% deposit match up to $200. Use that deposit match in their DFS pick'em games or their daily fantasy basketball and NFL contests that are available over at RT Sports. So again, go to rtsports.com/alarm, promo code alarm23 to take advantage of today's offer. James, pulling it up here on the DraftKings main slate. As we said, we got 11 games here to talk about. When we're looking at some totals and spreads, anything in particular for you here that is worthy of targeting for this 11-gamer?
Currently 2 games over the 230 threshold. That's Utah, Denver. Again, Denver on a back-to-back after their massacre of OKC in OKC. I think that was a real litmus test early on for OKC. They failed. And then Golden State, New Orleans. Again, second leg of a back-to-back. Maybe some indication, one, of how well New Orleans has looked through 2 games, but 2, what the Golden State lineup could look like. New Orleans 2.5 point favorites at home, 233 total. Boston in a big game environment, they're the biggest favorites on the board at 10 in Washington. But everything else is pretty tight. Oh, Minnesota, Atlanta, 234.5 too. Sorry. So that's an Atlanta on a back-to-back. They got to rest most of the fourth quarter due to their blowout win. So 3 games over 230, bunch of games in the 220s. Bart Scott can't wait.
All right, let's get into it at the point guard position here again. Obviously, it's a large slate, plenty of spend up options here. For me, a couple of guys that I'm targeting, the top two, not to be too chalky about it, Luka and SGA. Great spots for both of them. Luka has just come out. I for an MVP, I think. 49, 10 and 7, 33, 13, and 10 right off the bat here in the first two games of the season. Price tag is already $12,000, so quickly bumping him up to the top price play, going up against Memphis. Marcus Smart and that crew here. All in if I can find ways to play Luka Doncic, and that's kind of been the thing you and I have been trying to do here on the two slates that Luka's been part of. We've been finding ways to fit him into our lineup, but it seems like the consensus really hasn't been to get Luka Doncic in their spots. I would think maybe that is slowly becoming less and less likely moving forward. More people are going to be targeting Luka to get into their lineups here.
Yeah, after seeing him hit like 6 threes in a row and a bank shot, hook shot to go up in that game, I would say most people are probably like, oh, Luka's on his BS this year, like you said, out to win an MVP. Yeah, obviously no problem getting to him. Memphis has looked bad, by the way, through 2 games. And I know, like, should that be defensively? No, like adding Marcus Smart in theory, like Smart's played well. But as a team, I mean, they just lost to Washington.
Yeah.
And so they're 0-3 to start the year. This might be a good spot to kick them while they're down with Luka.
I agree. So you got him. You have SGA again bouncing back after just a 7-point performance, 2 for 16 against Denver again. Detroit isn't Denver, though, as much talent as they have. So those two are the top 2 price plays here at the point guard position. 2 guys to be looking to play. I don't have a ton of interest on Lillard on a back-to-back. He had a pretty tough night, or is having a tough night in their matchup on Sunday. Goes against Miami. Again, not a great spot that we like generally target guards with. You have Curry, who, again, may sit out this game. Second leg of a back-to-back. LaMelo Ball is where I have some interest, though. Minutes limit is what they told us, and they played 31 and 33 in the 2 games to start the year. So I'm going to assume there is no minutes limit at this point. Nearly triple-doubled last time out, had a double-double on opening night. If you can keep the turnovers and the fouls down, which largely he's been, it's given us the production we like. I love this spot against Brooklyn for him.
Yeah, ultimately, like, I'm perfectly fine getting to LaMelo because the triple-double upside is just, for me, it's going to be, especially on DraftKings, do I want to just save a couple $100 and play Tyrese Halliburton instead? Sure. I think is the ultimate question. We're going to have back-to-back double-doubles to start the year, back-to-back 20-point double-doubles, almost the rebounds. Obviously, the consistency shooting is going to be there more for Halliburton than it is for LaMelo, at least made shots. I mean, LaMelo went 4 of 16. Not a bad thing because he still put up 50 plus. I'm just saying.
Halliburton, I think, had like 2 points going into halftime or something like that in this game too, and he kind of just popped off in the second half.
Yeah, he hit a lot of threes, talked a lot of smack to the crowd too. So it was a fun thing to watch. Even though like he was talking smack to a team that had Max Strus, Karis LeVert, and Evan Mobley.
Hey, don't besmirch Kevin. Said all those names: Max Strus and Karis LeVert there. Both of them had big nights for us on Saturday.
Yeah, no, all three. I mean, all 3. Mobley went for 50 too. Like,
yeah.
all three of them had it, but he's talking smack to non-Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland team. So I think that's where I'd probably sit. Like, I'm fine getting to LaMelo. I don't disagree. I am also
could make LaMelo a nice pivot then if you think Halliburton is where more people go to. So for me, those are the top 4 price guys. I think that's the 4 of my player pool. If we're going down to the mid-tier, Jamal Murray here against Utah at 7,900 feels like a pretty good spot for him. It seems like Utah still doesn't really know what they want their rotation to be yet at this point in the season. We've seen a lot of different guys go in and out of that backcourt, but Murray at least is going to be out there firing. CJM's look pretty good, especially if he finds himself facing not Steph Curry or maybe not Chris Paul here on the back-to-back. $7,300 for McCollum. Feels pretty strong. And then I got the Celtics guards here. Both of them, this is going to be sort of the issue with the Boston Celtics this year is that against Miami, you saw both Drew Holiday and Derek White just pop off, right? Like Tatum had a good game. Zinger didn't really. Jaylen Brown didn't really. Drew Holiday nearly triple-doubled, 17, 10, and 7. And then you go look at what Derek White did for obviously much cheaper, 28, 6, 3, 3, and 1 for 49 fantasy points. So I think against Washington, you could probably play both guards. I don't know which one's going to do what, though. I think there's always in tournaments, one of those two or one of the four of the Celtics are going to have big nights.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think some of that production was aided by the Porzingis foul trouble because he got in early foul trouble and fouled out. And yes, he played 30 minutes, but was just people are sometimes more passive than not when they're in foul trouble just to avoid it. So
as somebody who watched that game, Derek White just went on a
he's great. He's great
for a little bit. He was heat checking himself, only he was hitting the heat checks, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I am hot, so we're gonna keep going."
Yeah, I think it's it is hard with how many good players Boston has to consistently like them, but you're right. It's an elite matchup against Washington. Where Washington actually through 3 games is the top paced team in the NBA. So if that's the type of pace they're going to play at,
do they lose by 40 in this game? What? I mean, we say this all the time about matches. On paper, this Washington really should stand 0 shot against the Celtics team, and then they find themselves hanging around, and it's more competitive than we think. But the Celtics backups could see some run in this game too. If the way the what's the spread in this one? Is it 8.5 probably 10? Yeah,
10.
Yeah. So we'll see. I guess how long those guys are even out there. But
if they make shots, if Washington makes if Jordan Poole makes shots, and if Kyle Kuzma makes shots, and if Corey Kispert scores 22 first-half points, then, I would say...
I'll say Tyler Hero is having his way with the Celtics, so he just did not miss anything that he was taking in that game.
Sure.
So guys certainly can't get hot, despite we talk about how good the Celtics perimeter defense is there. But, again, I think both Boston guards in tournaments could be in play. Ben Simmons at $6,400. We'll call him a point guard for the sake of this conversation here. Again, nearly triple-doubling, nearly double-doubling every slate at this point. So the shot attempts aren't going to be there, but I think we can pretty much rely on rebounds and assists. Some defense is coming around, which is great to see. We saw that a few years ago out of him, getting those blocks and steals. And if he scores, it's an added bonus.
Yeah, and we're likely going to see Ben Simmons start at center again because Nick Claxton's already been ruled out, and so is Cameron Johnson. So, although they said they weren't going to play Nick Claxton at center or Ben Simmons at center, they literally came into the year yeah, we're not playing him at center. And he was yeah, I'm not playing center. I'm a point guard. They played him at center. And we saw Darren Sharp play 3 minutes. So,
it's him in DFS, rotating in the back.
Royce O'Neal, it was the smallest front court of all time. Maybe they can't do that against Mark Williams. We'll see. Maybe they do have to go more traditional big. We'll see.
We'll talk about power forward. We'll talk about power forward center in a little bit because I have a play that I really like. If we think we always assume that when a team goes small, it's a great thing for the other opposing's big player. It's they'll just dominate because they have the size advantage. But for whatever reason, that team then just plays down to the size.
Right.
And you're well, then now this person didn't play. So, I got my eye maybe on PJ Washington here on this slate. If they go small, and that could be a counter for Charlotte in this matchup here, than Mark Williams. But we'll get to the center in a little bit, power forward in a little bit here. Other point guards that you're in on here, Dennis Schroeder, I imagine, still making the list for you because $5,900 still good value for him.
Yes, still good basketball player too. 15 and 10 again, back-to-back double doubles. 2 of the 3 games he's gone for 37 minutes. He's on the floor a ton, and I believe OJ Anunoby is again questionable. Yeah. So we're going to see an uptick in usage for Dennis Schroeder. We're going to see him with the ball in his hands a whole bunch.
He's not even shooting all that well right now.
No, he's not.
There will be times where instead of going 3 for 11, 5 for 14, he's going 8 for 14 or something like that, and he's really popping off. So maybe one of the best values currently on the board, especially at the point guard position. Do we have Schroeder here at home against Portland, who's going to be coming off of a back-to-back?
Yeah, sign me up for Schroeder, $5,900. So I have right under him. I'm this is maybe one of the biggest malpractices of the year. And it's the Boston medical staff. Or Is it the Portland medical staff? We're going to find out because Malcolm Brogdon's been amazing. And he was amazing again on Sunday. And he played another almost 30 minutes.
Yep.
And had 19, 7, and 7. And I'm just confused at what's happening because there was the Instagram story from Aaron Neesmith today about a paperclip. I don't know if you saw that about how Boston gave him up for a paperclip, and it was a whole thing. And Malcolm Brogdon liked it apparently, and now there's all this stuff. Hopefully Porzingis doesn't get hurt in Boston because apparently the training staff was a little. I'm just confused because Malcolm Brogdon's going to play 30 minutes again.
I know.
Under 6K.
The reported narrative was that he was going to miss multiple months, which is why they were trying to trade him.
Didn't miss one singular second.
Didn't miss a moment of that game. Which again is still fine. I mean, I'll take Drew Holiday. I think there was another reason behind this, and if you haven't paid attention, like I have, because again, I'm wearing a Celtics shirt. I live just outside the city of Boston. Malcolm Brogdon was pretty vocal as an anti-Joe Mazzulla guy. Kind of was open about questioning some of the decisions and coaching practices. And again, Joe Mazzulla was not supposed to be the Boston Celtics head coach. That was supposed to be Ime Udoka. Whatever happened with Ime last year, they had to throw Joe Mazzulla into the fire, basically, and he learned on the job. But Malcolm Brogdon was pretty vocal about the issues that he had, and they basically needed to ship him out of town. But, he hurt himself enough during the playoffs that he couldn't play. So, I don't know. But I agree with you. At $5,600.
It's just weird. It's just the whole situation's weird.
Super weird. So $5,600, I'm with you. Schroeder, Brogdon, super strong plays here. Cole Anthony keeps coming off the bench for Orlando and playing really well. I know this is going to burn us. It burns us. It generally burns us a few times during the year where we're like, all right, Cole Anthony off the bench, and he goes 1 for 9. You're like, never see him again, right? So, but for now, he's good. And if the Lakers on a back-to-back sit some guys here, could get a decent little matchup. I wish he was under, a little bit cheaper. 53, he's really kind of hitting the value here, but 33 and 29 actual fantasy points rather than the last couple of games, pretty solid for him. Are you over Kobe White? Are you over it,
dude?
You might have had an optimal lineup if Kobe White did what he did the previous 2 weeks for games versus what he did.
Dude, what are we doing? What are we doing? I understand.
0 for 4.
Dude, I mean, just change your name to Tony Snell. At this point. I don't know. I mean, I understand LaVine had 50
on a night where Zach LaVine dropped 50.
50, dude. They lost by 16 in a game. Zach LaVine scored 50.
Yeah.
Look, short memory, short fuse, good spot in Indiana, right? Indiana's bad defensively. They play really fast. They're 5th in pace again. So, yeah, sure.
That's where I'm at. I don't really have another value guard. Do you have anybody on your?
Yes, I sure do.
Let me give.
So, I would not be surprised if Keontae George is a starting point guard in this game.
I saw your tweet, so I was going to let you talk about him. Go ahead.
Look, they got blown out, torched. Eric Gordon torched him. Grayson Allen, and who looks like Ted Cruz, torched him. Kevin Durant everyone torched him, right?
Yeah.
Keontae George, this isn't blowout run. He played the entire second quarter, did not check out. He then, Talon Horton-Tucker got in early foul trouble, sure. Checked in 9 minutes into third, played the entire second half after that. And I know he started the fourth quarter, he played the third quarter, but he played with the starters. He played. This is a first-round pick that they drafted. He was their most impressive rookie or most impressive point guard in the preseason. And Talon Horton-Tucker's looked terrible. I mean, we saw opening night.
It was wild because he had a great preseason.
And he's looked horrible as the point guard. And they need a point guard playing next to Jordan Clarkson. And they need a point guard playing next to Larry Markkinen to set these people, to set them up. They're elite scorers.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if Keontae George continues to be the guy that's seeing a lot of run in this offense at point guard. So even if he doesn't start, I would have mild interest. I know the 12 minutes, not great in game number 2, but the 27, super impressive. And there was a lot of minutes pre-blowout in that game. Yep. So That's what really gives me a little bit of confidence. If you're not comfortable going there because Denver, I'm fine with it. But it's definitely something to monitor.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I actually think that if Denver blows them out, Keontae George just plays anyway.
Yep.
So,
yep. True.
No, totally on board with Keontae George again. I was just kind of giving you the path to talk about him because you tweeted about him. So,
yep.
I'm going to go in on that one. Let's go on over to shooting guard position here. Again, up at the top, a couple of guys we've already mentioned. I'm going to go back to the Cadwell. Again, did not work out for us against Charlotte, unfortunately. Fouled out of that game. Turnovers galore, and we're just banging our head against the wall. He was the cover of the show on Friday. Really embarrassed us.
And my playbook. I doubled down on that.
He really embarrassed us. But on Saturday, he was the player that I thought he was. So 27, 4, and 10. I'm gonna run it back. I'll run it back with Cade. Again, he's gonna have way more nights like he's had the 2 of the 3 than he's had the 1 that we unfortunately were like $8,100. This is a free price tag, and he just destroyed us here. I'm gonna go back to the well with good Cade Cunningham though.
Yeah, second leg of a back-to-back for OKC. They're playing pretty fast. It's a good spot for Cade. Now, like if you're not comfortable getting there, I get it. There's Desmond Bane at 8,600, who's obviously been incredibly consistent to start the year.
It was 1 for 10. 1 for 10 3-point night wasn't great. But
not great. But
he's taking 10 threes on all these games here, so that's pretty good.
That is good. And 17 plus shots is really good. Like nothing to dislike about Desmond Bane. So I understand. Also, Dallas has not played a lick of defense. Like they're playing offense because Luka is literally just willing them to victory, but they're 23rd through 2 games in defense.
Well, think about what they have defensively now out there.
No, it's sure.
Kyrie Irving, it's Grant Williams, who's like
6'4",
fine, but he's not Dorian Finney-Smith.
Right.
They Lively didn't even play the other night. Like they went small ball. So
it's weird after kind of like how good he was on opening night, and then they start him, and then they don't play him. It's just weird.
Yeah, they started him, and then whoever they played went small on them, and they just took him off the floor. So that was the Brooklyn game. So they played DFS at center basically, and they're like, Grant Williams is our 5 today. Like that's just kind of the way that game broke down. So yeah, Poole's fine. Ingram, I'm impartial on. Don't love the price tag yet. He's going to keep falling. I think if we get an Ingram in like a mid 7K price tag, I'll be willing to go back to there. Not my favorite spot. Same thing with Jaylen Brown, not my favorite price. Mikal Bridges is probably fine, but I don't find myself playing him. I do go back to the Zach LaVine well, though. 33 shots is ridiculous. I don't see that happening again, but I also don't think he goes 4 for 16 and 3 for 14 again either. So I'll also say thank you to Underdog Fantasy. You set his 3-point prop for whatever reason at 5.5.
Seems good.
He took 13. So please. I don't know, man. Man's taking 9, 6, and 13 in the first 2 games, and he set it at 5.5. I imagine that gets bumped probably 7.5 or 8 for tomorrow. But I don't mind LaVine. We talked about it. Under 8K LaVine last year was an auto plug. They were giving us 7K LaVine to start the year. Still in the plug zone for us.
Dude, not only did he take 5.5 threes, he made 7. He made 7. I'm perfectly fine getting back to LaVine again. Indiana's defense not good. It's a really fast-paced team, so one of the better spots for the Bulls to get going. I think you could say the same thing kind of about Tyler Hero here. Milwaukee, second leg of a back-to-back. We'll see if someone sits. Yep. We'll see if not. But, dude, 34, 40, 40 minutes for Tyler Hero. Like, 40 minutes and 20 shots in every game. You can't. I don't care if they're going in. He's playing 40 minutes and he's taking 20 shots.
And we have to think about Milwaukee differently from a defensive point now. They don't have Drew Holiday. They don't have Grayson Allen. They're Chris Middleton's not going to play again. Like their overall defense outside of Giannis now at this point is not good.
Yes.
I'm with you there. Hero at 7,400 is a great price. I'll go back to Rozier. I know his game the other day, not great, but again, 20 shots. He just went 0 for 7 from 3. I'm willing to, throw some dollars on a guy that's going to play 35 minutes, take 20 shots. What do we say about the Hornets players all the time? Another like Nick Nurse light here.
Yeah.
Whether they're up 20 or down 20, their starters are playing 35 minutes. It just seemingly doesn't matter. So I'm good on Rozier at $7,200 here. Shaedon Sharp's on a back-to-back, but 63 is a good price tag for him there. You can see D'Angelo Russell maybe without a LeBron or an Anthony Davis at $6,100. Some good value there. But we got to talk about our guy.
Dude.
Absolutely have to talk about him. Started 33 minutes, 12 of 19. The man shot over 60% of the field now for 2 straight games while taking 20 shots a game. Is he the best scorer in the NBA?
Well, I was going to ask. I think he's done this. I think I saw a stat where he's done this now in 6 straight starts. So dating back to last year, he scored 30 points and has shot like 50% better in 6 straight starts. He's like, he can't really shoot from 3, but he gets everywhere. Like he can get to the rim and mid-range like all day long. Like DeMar DeRozan on steroids almost. And that's disrespectful because DeMar DeRozan's like a perennial, like all-time great scorer, and this guy is making.
DeRozan's actually taken a couple of threes now this year too. I don't know if you saw that. He's taken a few more threes this year, but
because they can't take it anymore. They just yell at him. They yell at him every year.
Yeah, but no, dude. I mean, Cleveland and Dallas were the 2 opponents. It's Charlotte now. We don't really think much of them defensively.
And he started last game.
Yeah, he started. He's only 6K. I mean.
Yeah, no, it's no Claxton, no Johnson. He's going to start again.
I know.
The only thing that we have to worry about, and I don't know if you saw the end of the Dallas game, but they were substituting him in on defensive possessions. So the only thing we could like possibly lose out in is like in a scenario in like the final 2 minutes where like there's no whistles.
Yeah.
Like he's just not playing at the end of the game or like in critical defensive moments, but like probably has 30 points by then anyway, right?
I would think so if you're taking 20 shots. So yes, I like Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas is one of the reasons why like Mikal Bridges' numbers aren't like popping, because
correct.
You guys, he's on the floor with he's on the floor with Devin Booker again, basically, right?
Yeah.
So Cam Thomas 6K. We're in. We're buying. What he's selling. We're buying what he's selling there. Where are you going under for some value here at the shooting guard position? Anybody popping off for you?
I just want to keep talking about Cam Thomas, honestly. He's so good. If OG plays, I really like that 58 price tag. I mean, he got hurt in that Chicago game and then tried to play through the injury and then like left again. And then they were like, maybe going to play him the next day. And they're like, nah, dude, what are we doing? Like, so I could get to OG. Portland is going to be a cesspool for opposing teams to score, like just funnel. Like here, do you guys want fantasy points? Here you go. Do you want fantasy points? Here you go. If he doesn't play, I'm perfectly fine getting to someone like Gary Trent, 5,400. Trent, 16 shots in the starting lineup. He's now taken 15 plus in back-to-back games. We know he's not peripherally sound, but if Gary Trent makes shots, I mean, 16 and 15 shots, he hasn't shot better than 40% in each of the last 2 games. We know if Gary Trent makes shots, things could work out for him. You mentioned Cole Anthony. You can play him here. But then there's nothing really else.
I got Burks and Moody for me. Alec Burks comes off the bench again, 25, 31, 26 minutes, 3 games, giving you Alec Burke type numbers, right? So willing to give him a look here against OKC. And then Moody, we'll just see. We'll see who plays and who doesn't play. He could be in the starting lineup here. Let's see where's he at right now. This game's over. What did he finish with in that game? I know.
They didn't. So the problem I think became he's played 17 minutes.
Sure.
Only 1 of 6 shooting,
not great.
So the rotation is going to be weird moving forward because Chris Paul, if they're actually going to play Chris Paul off the bench, like if that's, which I guess makes sense because he was playing with the second unit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how that's going to affect everyone else. But also, like Gary Payton went 6 of 8. That probably hurt Moody.
Yeah, I mean, if Booty hit his shots, he probably would have said before. He just missed the shots. So, but again, I'm more so thinking if people get ruled out for tomorrow, Moody at $4,500 is probably going to see some spots. Christian Braun went wild. Obviously, again, that was a blowout game. Only played 21 minutes, but 13, 7, and 7. Not really going to chase those points here. Duncan Robinson, maybe Grady Dick. Guy played 28 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
5 fouls in 28 minutes, but we know the guy's a shooter. They talked a lot about it during the preseason. If OG's out again, Jalen McDaniels didn't play at all. He played 2 minutes. So Grady Dick is the guy that's off their bench and is the guy that is going to be in that rotation if OG is out.
It's hilarious. Sometimes preseason matters so much, and then sometimes you look and you're like, this didn't matter at all because Jalen McDaniels was the guy playing all the minutes off the bench in the preseason. And it looked like he was in the rotation, and now it's Grady Dick. Yeah, dude, Grady Dick. He said, I don't know if he gave a little post during his post-game interview. He hit his first shot, and I guess Embiid went, what do they say? Rock, or whatever, chalk. And he gave him a little rock chalk under his breath.
Rock chalk Jayhawk.
Yeah, he gave him one of those because, little Kansas alum, and he said that settled him down. So good to see a little some confidence brewing. First round pick, so
for sure. And he's a shooter. I mean, he's out there to just drain threes. So some of these guys, they get into the league and they are right away, they're shooters. Some guys that are shooters in college come to the league and they just can't adjust. Grady looked like he had no problem doing that there. Small forward position here. Again, I didn't really find myself looking too much at the top of this tier. Now, Tatum I consider to be a power forward. You could probably play LeBron, but again, I don't know if he's gonna play. He's home at least, and LeBron has talked about wanting to play. So
yeah,
we'll see. But it is a back-to-back here, and it's against Orlando. So if there was ever a time where LeBron maybe would sit, an Orlando game would probably be on the calendar for him here. I just kind of jumped down to the mid-tier again. I like Scotty Barnes at $7,700. I like DeMar DeRozan at $75. Like Franz Wagner at $66. Michael Porter Jr. 63. So for me, once again, at small forward, I was kind of living in this mid-tier range. But, do you find yourself looking at an Anthony Edwards or Lauri Markkanen, Butler, anybody here?
I mean, sure, you can get to these guys. They're all tournament plays. But, why would you do that when you could just play Scotty Barnes, like you said? Like, dude, he's their best player. Like, he's been better than Siakam, right? Like, no doubt.
He's making Siakam or OG expendable, basically.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, Siakam's been in the trade talks to begin with. I think OG just got paid, didn't he? Like, paid?
Yeah, but they were right. But there was rumors of him potentially being on the move. I'll say this: when they drafted Scotty Barnes, remember when we talked about his rookie year? They're like, great defensive player, will give you rebounds, and like on opening night, he just hit all of his shots. He wasn't supposed to score
like that. Yeah.
And now here we are, 2 years later, and the dude is 6 of 16, 9 of 14, 11 of 16. Their leading scorer, their best player, all around. Because again, the defensive numbers are what we expect out of him. Rebounding are what we expected out of him. They randomly started playing him at point guard at his rookie year. Now we know that he's a great facilitator. He's their best all-around player. $7,700 is far too cheap for him right now. Going up against Portland, I don't think Toronto's good enough to blow Portland out. What are your thoughts here?
Maybe only because of back-to-back, maybe in Toronto.
Sure,
maybe that's like a tough scenario for like a young team like Portland, but like on typical nights, probably not. But second night, back-to-back, possibly. But everyone in Portland's young, so maybe it doesn't matter. They just want to play basketball. So
Yes, I'm with you. Scotty Barnes, a small forward, has the point guard small forward eligibility here.
Love it.
I don't know what his FanDuel price is, but probably an elite FanDuel play over there as well here. And again, as I mentioned, DeMar DeRozan is $7,500. I mean, he has a 50-point ceiling. He's already shown it. So I am very willing to play DeMar DeRozan at that price tag. Wagner and cash, I'm good with it. Again, the guy just goes out there, does his work. No problem at all. Going to hit his shots. Michael Porter Jr. is coming through with some double-doubles here. Actually had 20 actual in that blowout against OKC, but double-digit rebounds in 2 of the 3 games to start the year. If he's going to be Borden,
dude,
good. You know?
Let's go. We're back, John. We're so back. Can't wait for Jonathan Isaac to play 30 next.
He only played 7 his last game. So
well, he's playing 30 in a couple months. Don't worry. And 25 minutes. Michael Porter's clearly going to get one more rebound and have 3 straight double-digit
he was
rebounds.
going to explode in that game against OKC here. Now he's got Denver, and he's rested. He only played 25 or Utah.
Yeah,
he's rested. So I like that, dude. I keep finding myself playing Gordon Hayward.
He was so good the other night.
On opening night, it was by accident, and then I intentionally put him in my lineup against Detroit, and both times this worked out. So I'm gonna keep running back with Gordon Hayward here at 6,200 because while he is healthy, he's a good player. So gonna keep running him out there.
I know. I know. Get it. He could be the reason Terry Rozier's numbers look the way they did because Terry Rozier is usually a good peripheral stat guy, like decent.
Sure.
He had nothing because Gordon Hayward had 9 rebounds and 4 assists, and LaMelo had 9 rebounds and 9 assists.
Rozier had, and they're bringing some guys off their bench that are filling out, and Rozier's just taking 20 shots. And he's like, we'll see if these go in or not.
Asor.
I'm going to struggle with both of their names all season long. Asor Thompson. Again,
so good. He is so good.
Another guy that's it's unfair to compare him to Ben Simmons, but look at the stat lines. It's kind of where we're at with him, where it's like, all right, if he scores, great.
Yes.
But he's giving you rebounds, he's giving you assists, and you're getting defensive stats. Now, we said on opening night, the 5 blocks are probably an anomaly, but he can give you multiple blocks and steals per night. The rebounds are legit. I don't know how anybody's going to rebound against Detroit when Jalen Duran, Isaiah Stewart, and Asor Thompson are grabbing 10 rebounds each night. How are you rebounding against this team?
Jalen Duran, by the way, we can skip ahead.
The best center in the NBA.
He is the best fantasy pick of the year as of right now.
I have him in one underdog team. That's it. I only did a couple of drafts. Thankfully, he's on one of those teams. So, we remember last year they traded for James Wiseman. They were like, we want James Wiseman to be our starting center. And Jalen Duran's like, I'm giving you double-doubles off the bench.
Then he came in this year.
Why am I not? Why am I? And then Jalen Duran came into this year taking that personally. And
he took that personally.
And he is just – we'll get to him in a little bit as
Detroit is our Minnesota.
They're our Minnesota.
They're our twins, dude. I'm telling you. They're so fun
Shout out to Beezy who asked us that question on opening night.
Yeah.
Detroit is 100% going to be our – we're talking Alec Burks. We're talking Cade Cunningham. At some point, I think Jaden Ivey's going to find himself a better role. I don't know why Jaden Ivey isn't playing all of a sudden.
Well,
dude was a stud last year.
Well, where do you play him? You're not playing him over this guy.
Well,
that's fair. Well, the Killian Hayes thing. The Killian Hayes thing. Well, the Killian Hayes thing, not that he can't, not that he's great at spacing the floor, but
do you work a trade on Bojan now? You just paid him, but I mean.
Yeah, you probably trade Bojan. I mean, Bojan's going to score for somebody, right? He's just not going to score for this team. You're not scoring for this. You're not playing over this guy. Asor Thompson, you're not playing over him, dude.
No, not for real. No, not at all. Anyway, so yeah, enough gushing over Detroit. Yeah, they're a fun team for sure. Lou Dort's look pretty good. We'll see if Kuminga gets a bigger role with the back-to-back here, potentially for some of these guys sitting out. But 5,400 is kind of wish. Miller coming off the bench. Brandon Miller looking good off the bench for Charlotte. You want to think that if Brooklyn goes small, could see some Brandon Miller minutes here for him there off of their bench.
33 minutes, huh? Oh,
yeah, dude.
Mark Williams foul trouble in that game. I wonder.
A couple other guys here under 5K. Aaron Neesmith popped off 30 minutes against Cleveland, 10 of 16 shooting. At this point, why play Obi Toppin? What is the point of that? I'm not trusting Obi Toppin obviously anymore. Aaron Neesmith last year proved to be a pretty good player.
Yeah, he did.
I would rather check out Neesmith, but then the original Binky here, Zaire Williams, dude. Finally starting 29, 31, 34 minutes for him. Sure, opening night was blah. But nearly double-doubles against Denver and then does double-double against Washington here. $4,600. Willing to give him a little love.
Look, it's great to see the shot attempts there, right? Double-digit shot attempts in back-to-back games is all you can ask for because this guy is I feel like we've watched for a couple of years, just like stand in the corner
Yeah.
for 2 straight years. Like
Dude, he's a 10th overall pick a couple years ago.
yeah. I mean, he's definitely a talented kid, but the 12 threes he was 0 for 3, 1 for 3 the 2 games prior. I think he took 12 threes. Yeah. I mean, look, hard to not like him. 4,600. Dallas is not a great defensive team, and if Zaire Williams is going to crash the glass.
The rebounds are what's surprising.
Yeah,
so,
agreed.
Like I'm willing to give him a peek. Again, he has a very low floor.
Very low floor.
But I'm willing to give him a look.
He's also not really like overly expensive, so he's not going to kill us if we do roster.
Sure, I agree with that here. Jay Crowder played 26 minutes and I didn't really do much of anything. Yeah. That game was also a blowout loss for Milwaukee. Atlanta took them by 17. Yes, if he starts again, any interest for Crowder at 46?
You want to talk about low floors? I mean,
yeah, I hear you.
He's playing next to Giannis. Who he's playing next to, I would say I have a little more faith in Zaire Williams than I do Crowder. I get it. Crowder like has peripheral stats, but like at that point, just go down and like take a shot on Grady Dick or for like 3,600 or
Lonnie Walker played 21 minutes with Cam Johnson out.
Oof.
Was not active for the opening night game. Cam Johnson gets ruled out. All of a sudden, Lonnie Walker in the rotation, 21 minutes. 5 of 9 from the floor, 4 of 6 from 3. Gave you your typical Lonnie Walker stat line, 14-1-2-1.
Yeah, and
we're talking an 11-game slate. Cheap. Yeah.
Royce O'Neal, by the way, small forward, 4,300. You mentioned they just went small, double in that game.
Yeah,
11 and 10. If they're gonna look, Darren Sharp's dead. Apparently, like me and you speculated that there was somebody else. We just didn't expect them to just exclude the center position altogether.
If there wasn't a person covering the Nets or fantasy basketball on Friday that didn't think Darren Sharp was in for at least 20 to 25 minutes.
Three.
And then he played 3. And when the starting lineup came out and he wasn't in the starting lineup, I was like, all right, like weird, but he played 12 minutes off the bench. He's got to have some. Nope. They were just like, we're not using a center here today.
Yeah,
we have Ben Simmons.
Yeah, we have Ben Simmons, the guy we didn't want to use at center.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm with you that one. Power forward position here. Again, if you want to go Giannis against Milwaukee, I'm not here to tell you no. It's Giannis. Go for it. Or Giannis versus Miami, rather. You want to go for it? No arguments here. Jayson Tatum, again, he could knock the Wizards out by 3 quarters. And, who knows? But right. he's obviously going to take a ton of shots. Miami, defended him fairly well. He got some tough stretches there for a little bit. But again, Jayson Tatum, sure, fine, good on you. You want to get him in your lineup? I'm here for it. Zion to me is a little interesting at 89. The price keeps coming down on him, as we kind of expected it would. I'm loving the 17 shot attempts though in both games here. I wish he would be a little bit more active everywhere else stat wise, and that's always been our biggest complaint for Zion. He had a stretch where he was giving it to us a couple of years ago. But if Golden State's going to run out a lineup of like Kuminga, Cooney, Looney rather, and backup Saric, tomorrow because they're sitting
exactly Draymond,
sitting Draymond and whatever. Like I think Zion's going to have himself, if Wiggins is guarding him or something like that, like Zion's going to dominate that spot.
Yeah, it's hard to love the price.
It's coming down, so like I feel like there's a little bit more room for growth, but 5x at $8,900 is like 43 fantasy points. So we'd have to have his best game of the year to pay it off. Maybe a cash game play.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll never sit here and be like Zion can't get to 60 fantasy points because he's insane. But it's just like they just have they're just really good. Like the Pelicans just have everyone healthy. They're just good. So it's like how you talked about. You said it about Ingram. Like you need the price to come down a little bit.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way about Zion personally.
I agree. And price is dropping. He was 98, 91, 89. So it's on its way down for sure here. I don't know about Laurie in this spot against Denver. Again, I don't really play anybody against Denver. Never mind being in Denver. It feels a little tough. Towns' price is dropping. $8,400 for him. Double-digit rebounds, double-doubles in both games here. Atlanta on a back-to-back. Any interest in Cat?
It's a great price, but like is he going to be able to hang with the great Naz Reid or what? Because if Naz Reid keeps playing the way he's playing, why don't we
Naz had
need
one
Cat?
good game. He had one good game.
I'm okay. I'm okay getting to Cat. I'm like indifferent about it. Good.
Sure.
Solid price.
Zingers here listed power forward center. I want to talk about that center though, so just stand by. Triple J price tag up to 82. Again, we knew this was coming. Started at 66. He's been too cheap. Right. He's been the chalkiest play on the board for every slate so far. Every slate. Fouls are obviously still an issue, but he's giving you defense, giving you some scoring and rebounding. If Dallas decides to go small, or if Memphis goes small, like it's because Triple J is in the lineup. So, I'm good paying the 82 here.
I am also good paying the 82.
I'll say I'm good paying the 82, but I'm probably not core playing him. I think there are guys around him and below him that I would prefer better.
Yeah, you can play DeRozan here. You can play Kuzma here, who's been really productive, 21 and 13 last game. Chet was literally insane against Cleveland. 7 blocks. Chet's a dog, dude. He's a freaking dog. I know he stunk against Denver.
Well, I was gonna say he ran into better competition,
right?
Sunday, so
yeah. But
this is another really interesting matchup for Chet against Detroit, going up against Durant in this spot. So,
would you play him at 69?
I don't think so. Again, I think I'd rather find the money for DeRozan or go down a little bit more. Again, I like PJ Washington. Is he going to be in this game here? I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not in this game. Sorry, but I feel like he's going to be more involved in this game, in this spot against Brooklyn with no Claxton, right? The minutes are already great. We saw him pop off an opening night for the 12 to 18 shooting game. 6 of 13 against Detroit, 29 minutes, but he fouled out of that game. So, I don't know. I mean, again, you're going up against Durant and Stewart and that crew. They just got into foul trouble. I don't think Brooklyn has anybody that should get him into foul trouble per se. So, a lot of their scores are going to be from the perimeter here. They're not going to have anybody that's kind of driving into the lane. O'Neal, DFS, I don't know. So I like PJ Washington a lot. When I saw the way Brooklyn handled their front court, with that game against Memphis, my immediate thought on this slate was okay, this feels like it could be a PJ Washington game for me. So I'm gonna definitely probably have more exposure than I should to Washington on this slate at 6K, but it's where I'm at.
Yeah, he's definitely in play for tournaments. We said it literally opening night. Oh, look, PJ Washington, 25 actual on night that nobody played PJ Washington. That seems to be the case, and I feel like he's more often than not. People are like, oh, LaMelo, Rozier, Hayward, Mark Williams. Hey, PJ Washington, I'm over. He's like, I'm over here. Yeah. So I like the price for PJ Washington. I think he has a high ceiling, especially.
We had some early injury news here for this slate as we're covering it. We already figured this, but Luke Kennard and Santi Aldama are out for Memphis. Not too shocking for that one. Caleb Martin is doubtful. Precious Achiuwa is doubtful for Toronto. So again, looking at that front court in Toronto, maybe gives Jakob Poeltl a bit more security against Portland here. If Precious Achiuwa is out.
Yeah, and Boucher's been in the rotation the last 2 games too.
Yeah.
So go figure that one out. Who's gonna play and who's not gonna play?
Yep. Jalen Johnson started today.
Dude. Only reason he did not have 50 fantasy points in this game is because foul trouble. He only ended up playing 26 minutes because the blowout. They torched Milwaukee. But in 26 minutes, 14-7, 1-2-1, and he hit 2 threes. Dude, his
price tag is $100 more expensive on this slate than it was on Sunday's slate. So
yeah, it's silly. He's really good, and I expect with the big lineup that Minnesota has, he's going to start again. Now, the only problem is going to be the foul trouble. Can he stay out of foul trouble? Because he's going to be guarding Karl-Anthony Towns.
He had foul trouble the first 2 games. Just had some trouble there on Sunday. So Stewart is there for some value on this power forward. A couple of other guys Jalen Johnson rather. A couple other guys, Isaiah Stewart, that we talk a lot about here. Where's his price tag? Is he still all the way down here? Where's Isaiah Stewart at?
52.
There he is, $5,200. The minutes are great. The shot attempts are great. Everything about Isaiah Stewart is great. So, and on Isaiah Stewart in the spot against OKC. A couple other guys that I've been looking at as well. We mentioned Nesmith already. Would you go back to Dorian Finney-Smith here at all? He's pretty cheap.
Yeah, I think anyone really available in the front court, if they're going to play 30 minutes for Brooklyn, there's peripheral stat upside with rebounds because, again, they're not playing a center and they need people to crash the boards. And we know Finney-Smith can space the floor. I think playing with Ben Simmons helps that because he better be ready to shoot because Ben Simmons ain't. So, right. Yeah, I like Finney-Smith at 41.
Right. Anybody else for you at power forward?
I know you're not going to like this, but I would play Kevin Love.
Okay.
I'd play him every slate. If Kevin Love's going to be free, I would play him every slate.
Kevin Love had 6 rebounds in the first 6 minutes of the game against Boston.
Dude, he had 6 minutes. The most tilting thing ever. He had 6 rebounds and 2 assists in that stretch and then didn't play the rest of the first half. They just were like, nah, we're good. And then came out and almost doubled in the 11 second half minutes that he played. Like, they are banged up. They've already said Caleb Martin is doubtful.
Yeah.
They're already missing Haywood Highsmith in this game. Miami is already a mess because, like you said, why wouldn't they be? Josh
they sat Love as part of that game, that back-to-back. So, I mean, like, he's ready to go after 3 days off against Milwaukee here.
So like, yeah, like maybe something to look at. Also, I guess you could look at it like Nikola Jokic looks so good in his time on the floor. Would that be some cause for concern?
Yeah, they took him in the first round
Kevin Love.
Year, so
yeah, we'll see. I like Kevin Love. I think Kevin Love, if he's going to continue to be the price tag he is in play. But we'll see.
Sure. Anybody else?
Not that I see. No.
Okay. Finish it off here at the center position then. Obviously, the Joker here is at 11.8. If you want to spend up for him, certainly can. No one's going to hear stop you. Anthony Davis at $9,600 on a back-to-back. We'll see if he suits up or not. This game against Sacramento, halfway through the third, he has 17, 9, 1, 3 blocks, 3 steals for 42 fantasy points with plenty of game left to go in this one. So Anthony Davis well on his way to a monster performance. Orlando's front court, not all that intimidating in my opinion here. Zinger at 83. I mentioned him at power forward. I wanted to talk about him at center. You get the revenge game narrative. You get Daniel Gafford defense here. I don't think he's going to foul out in this game. Could see this one being put to bed early, though. But thoughts on Porzingis?
Maybe Gafford. Gafford's questionable for this game.
True. He came back in that game after he left, but we'll see.
I mean, it could be Mike Muscala defense as well as Gafford. Not that I like Gafford.
Danilo Gallinari out there,
dude. Actually, what they don't really have like big bodies, so definitely remains to be seen. Yeah, I think Porzingis is perfectly fine. Again, like Boston's going to win so many games, and there's going to be so many big performances. You just have to get the right ones daily, right? So Porzingis stretches the floor for them. Is going to lead them in rebounds probably. So perfectly fine getting there 8,300.
Jalen Duran probably going to be the cover of the show.
He's probably going to be I would say he is the highest owned, one of the highest owned plays of the slate. Almost.
And it's kind of hilarious that he was under 6K for the first 3 slates of the year, going 48, 44, 57. Because now he's 71 and he's 49. So just keep playing him while the elevator's on its way up.
I believe. Let's see if I can find the FanDuel price. I believe he was $7,700. They don't ever list it on FanDuel. You can like never tell what the price point was, but I think they've actually like already. He's $8,000 already on FanDuel, rightfully so. It's just hard not to play this guy.
I'll tell you what he was. Give me 1 second. On FanDuel, his pricing has been 62, 79, 78.
Now he's 8K. Like it's just kind of you just gotta play him.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's insanely efficient. He grabs every rebound. He is blocking multiple shots a game. And he's been really good passing, 3+ assists in every game. Like,
Yeah, he's dunking a lot. That's good for
he
the
is dunking
shooting.
a lot,
Good for the
dude.
shooting percentage.
He is dunking so much, so many offensive rebounds.
Yeah. Yep. Xavier Tillman, I'm good with as well.
Yep.
Unfortunate that he got in a little bit of foul trouble there against Washington, and then they were down in that game, so they took him off the floor down the stretch, and they went with shooters. So he didn't play like the final 5 minutes of that game. They went with Jaren Jackson at the 5. They had Roddy on the floor. Like, they just didn't play a center basically there. So I'll go back to Tillman here. I think that was just kind of a one-off circumstance at $6,500. Again, now this is more so like if you're stacking or making multiple lineups. I'm still going to try to find $600 to play Jalen Duren, and so should you. But in this range here, I'm good with Tillman. You like Mark Williams. I think Mark Williams is fine. I just feel like this profile is a little bit better for PJ, but Mark Williams 61 is fine with me. Lively is hard to trust now, obviously, because we don't know how they're going to utilize them. Memphis doesn't really have like bigs. They play Tillman, who's 6'8", and Jaren Jackson, but Lively at 6K. We know what the upside for him can be in that spot. Anybody else for you?
Anyone else? I mean, we didn't mention John Collins at center.
Yeah, I felt like it was a tough matchup for him, but if you like him, we can definitely consider him.
I mean, he has had like kind of tough matchups in general.
Sure.
Three double-doubles. Yeah, and they're just not playing Walker Kessler. Like, Walker Kessler is not going to play more than low 20s minutes right now. I mean, he's to the point where he's like shooting threes, which is super weird to see. I would give a look at John Collins if he's going to continue to be like super productive. But like, that might be it. Like, you could obviously, like, there's a scenario where I would play Mo Wagner, I should say, because I could see a world where Anthony Davis puts Wendell Carter Jr. in a blender, and Mo Wagner has massive ceiling, 4,300. Yep. Also, I don't know if you saw, Onyeka Ngakwu was pretty popular on Sunday, John, and we finally got the game. 14-7, 2-1, 23 minutes for Ngakwu.
Finally, he's $3,800. So I mean,
so cheap. He is so cheap.
Yep, and he hasn't been like terrible with the fouls, or just
killing him.
So.
It's been the fouls. Yep. Not that he was. He had. I think he had 4 fouls again. He hit 4 fouls again in 23 minutes. So like, obviously we're being a little too aggressive. We were going to the Jaren Jackson school of fouling, and that's not the best. But if he does stay out of foul trouble, then we're talking about a guy who has a massive ceiling at 3,800.
Sure. All right, let's build a lineup here. I think we agreed we want Cam Thomas in here somewhere.
Yes.
Shooting guard. Do we want to spend up Luka? Do we want to go fair and balanced? There's obviously plenty of options for us. We were locking in Jaren Duren here as well. Jalen Duren. Jaren Duren's the baseball player. Jalen Duren's the center. All right, so we got Cam Thomas and Duren as our 2 current plugs. Scotty Barnes, next play?
Scotty Barnes, yep. We're going fair and balanced for sure.
Yeah, I think we are as well. Point guard, small, power forward, guard forward, utility.
Jalen Johnson, power forward.
Jalen Johnson, power forward.
5K.
6K per play. We definitely had another value. I mean, I guess we go.
Schroeder?
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, if we want another Toronto guy, do we go value with like Grady Dick?
We could do go Brogdon.
Or do you want to do Dorian Finney-Smith? Like, we need a value. Yeah. I like Brogdon too. Brogdon's a good call. Just thinking, how do we find some value to help us spend down here?
I would say we could use one of the Brooklyn guys. So either Finney-Smith or Royce O'Neal. I would say Finney-Smith probably.
Okay. Finney gives us 67. So let's see. We could probably fit another guy. Did you want to go Halliburton? 53.
Yeah, Halliburton's a good price.
Jamal Murray is 79.
Back to back,
Sure. Let's go Halliburton then. Halliburton. 53.50 for guard into util.
Guard.
Let's see, 5K guards here.
Keontae George, 46. Alec Burks, 45.
Alec Burks, 45. I mean, yeah, Alec Burks, 45 likes. That works.
Great.
You like Keontae George. Do you think Keontae George starts?
I don't know if he's going to start yet. I was getting a little ahead of myself on the starting, but we'll see.
$6,200. I like Gordon Hayward.
Okay, I like Gordon Hayward too.
All right, so just an example lineup for everybody here: Tyrese Halliburton, Cam Thomas, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Duran, Alec Burks, Dorian Finney-Smith, Gordon Hayward. We went with a fair and balanced build, but of course you can obviously maneuver this around and manipulate it to spend up if you guys want. I will for sure. I'll tell you now. We'll have some Luka Doncic in my lineup come later on this evening. But James and I are going to be live again at 5 o'clock Eastern time, so make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on the show. Get notifications when we go live here again at 5 o'clock Eastern. Heading into lineup block, we'll give you all the updated information and news to help you guys take down your DFS contest this evening. James, good show. Good to talk to you, and we'll be back later for everybody else. See you then.